Remember Saturday mornings? Sugary cereal, giant robots, pure magic, Transformers. G1 wasn't just a cartoon, it was a religious experience wrapped in toy commercials. But here's what nobody told you while you clutched that Optimus Prime like the Holy Grail. The show you loved was built on corporate cynicism, accidental genius, and secrets darker than Michael Bay's soul. The Autobots weren't the heroes you thought they were. The character deaths weren't creative choices, they were calculated marketing moves. And the Transformers themselves? They're not even what you think they are. The truth will either ruin your childhood or make you respect it even more. Probably both. So here are 10 wild facts about Transformers G1 that are about to transform everything you thought you knew. Let's dive in. Fact number 10. The Decepticons were originally called Anabots. Before the Predacons became the beast mode villains we know and tolerate, there was a concept so wholesome it physically hurts. The Anabots. Not the Decepticons, not even the Predacons, the Anabots. And here's the kicker, they were supposed to be the good guys. That's right, the early production documents show a benevolent group of animal-based Autobots who probably recycled and helped old ladies cross the street. Picture a team of heroic beast-formers with names that sound like rejected Care Bear cousins, designed in an era when Anabot seemed like cutting-edge branding. This was peak 80s optimism, folks. The kind of naive hope that brought us neon leg warmers and the belief that trickle-down economics would work. But reality had other plans. Hasbro looked at these gentle animal robots and said, absolutely not. The military hardware-focused aesthetic won out because of course it did. This was the Reagan era. Everything needed to be either a weapon or a tax cut, so the Anabots were scrapped, repurposed, and reborn as the villainous Predacons, proving once again that in the Transformers universe, being kind gets you fired and reimagined as a corporate monster. It's almost poetic. The name Anabots died so that Razor Claw could live, and honestly, that's probably the most 80s thing that ever happened. The wildest part is imagining the alternate timeline where the Anabots made it to production. Can you picture Optimus Prime teaming up with a bunch of friendly animal robots named like Hoppy and Snuggletron? Yeah, me neither. Crisis averted. Fact number 9. The cartoon was a giant commercial that killed its stars. Let's talk about the day Hasbro looked at a generation of children and said, you know what these kids need? Trauma. The 1986 Transformers movie wasn't just a film. It was a corporate execution disguised as entertainment. Optimus Prime, Ironhide, Prowl, Ratchet, characters kids had spent 2 years emotionally bonding with, were systematically murdered in the first 20 minutes. And not off-screen. We're talking graphic, on-screen robot death with sparks, screams, and colors fading to gray. One kid in the theater allegedly asked, "Mom, can they do that?" The answer, tragically, was yes. But here's the thing, nobody told those traumatized children crying in movie theaters across America. This wasn't a creative decision. This was a boardroom decision. Hasbro executives literally mandated these deaths to clear old toy inventory and push the new 1986 product line. Hot Rod, Ultra Magnus, Galvatron. The movie was a 90-minute commercial with a body count, designed to make your old toys obsolete, so you'd beg your parents for the new ones. It worked. It worked so well that kids who watched Optimus Prime die still bring it up in therapy. This remains one of the most brilliantly cynical marketing strategies in entertainment history. They didn't just sell you new toys, they emotionally manipulated you into needing them by killing your heroes. Imagine if Marvel did that today. Sorry kids, Iron Man's dead. But here's Iron Lad. He's basically the same, but we need to move units. The internet would explode. But in 1986, you just cried, bought the new toy, and developed trust issues. Fact number 8. The show was a non-stop animation error drinking game. If you grew up watching G1, you probably noticed something was off. Characters changing colors mid-transformation. Autobots with Decepticon symbols. That one time, there were 3 sky warps in the same frame like some kind of seeker cloning experiment gone wrong. The animation errors weren't occasional, they were constant. Fans have documented over 20 errors per episode in the early seasons, turning the show into an unintentional game of spot the mistake that was somehow more entertaining than it had any right to be. Why? Because the production was outsourced to multiple animation studios operating on a shoestring budget with impossible deadlines. The result was a beautiful disaster. You'd have Starscream turn red for no reason, or Optimus Prime show up with the wrong chest design, or, and this is real, characters who died 3 episodes ago casually standing in the background like zombie extras. It was animation hell, and we loved every broken frame of it. The irony is thick enough to cut with an Energon sword. This show was a global phenomenon, spawning a multi-billion-dollar franchise, and it looked like it was animated by overtired artists who'd never actually watched their own episodes. Today, these errors are part of the charm. They're nostalgic quirks that prove you don't need perfection to create something legendary. You just need giant robots, explosions, and the absolute audacity to not care that Optimus Prime's trailer disappears between shots. Fact number 7. The Autobot symbol is the face of a dead Prime. Every time you see that iconic Autobot symbol, the red face you've seen on countless toys, t-shirts, and questionable tattoos, you're looking at something way more significant than a logo. That's not just branding. That's the stylized face of A3, one of the earliest Matrix bearers and a legendary Cybertronian leader from millions of years ago. The Decepticon symbol, same deal. Ancient fallen leaders, immortalized as faction insignias. This means the Autobot symbol isn't a mascot. It's a memorial, a religious icon. Every time Optimus Prime transforms, he's literally wearing the face of a dead hero on his chest, like some kind of mechanical saint carrying the weight of history. It's profound, it's spiritual, it's the kind of deep lore that makes you wonder why they bothered putting this much thought into a toy commercial. And then you remember, because it's awesome. The Transformers weren't just soldiers, they were warriors carrying the legacy of fallen ancestors into battle, wearing their heroes' faces like armor. That's legitimately epic. It turns every transformation sequence into a ritualistic moment of honoring the past, and you thought it was just a cool logo. Nope. That's generational trauma and religious iconography combined into one marketable symbol. Peak 80s storytelling, honestly. Fact number 6. The Japanese continuity is a completely different universe. Here's where things get weird. After the American Season 3 ended, the Japanese market took one look at the US Season 4 finale, The Rebirth, and said, "No thanks, we'll take it from here." And they did, for 4 entire series. Headmasters, Master Force, Victory, Zone. Each one darker, more mature, and more complex than anything American audiences got. While American fans thought the story ended with the 3-part Rebirth, Japanese fans were watching Optimus Prime die again. Differently this time. New characters replaced the entire cast, and storylines that made the original series look like a Saturday morning toy ad, which, to be fair, it was. The Japanese continuity explored themes of sacrifice, leadership, and consequence with a seriousness that would have terrified American network executives who were still worried about parents complaining their kids saw a robot get a scratch. This created a fascinating split timeline. For millions of fans in Japan, Transformers G1 continued for years with completely different plots, characters, and outcomes. It's like if Star Wars ended differently in Europe. 2 parallel universes of the same franchise, each with their own canon, their own truths, and their own devoted fanbases arguing about which version is superior. The answer? Both. Neither. It doesn't matter. What matters is that somewhere out there, there's a version of Transformers you've never seen, and it's probably better than you think. Fact number 5. Megatron was a glitchy, cowardly clone in Season 3. Remember Megatron, cool, calculating, intimidating leader of the Decepticons who made every episode feel dangerous? Yeah, he died, and what came back was not that. Galvatron, Megatron's reformatted body after Unicron got his Chaos God hands on him, was a glitchy, unstable mess who spent most of Season 3 screaming, panicking, and making decisions that would have gotten him voted out of his own army. This wasn't just bad writing. This was intentional character assassination. Galvatron was canonically mentally unstable due to Unicron's reformatting process. The once mighty Megatron was reduced to a paranoid, erratic shell of his former self, prone to screaming fits and moments of genuine cowardice. It was dark. Darker than a kid's show had any right to be. Watching Galvatron spiral into madness was like watching a Shakespearean tragedy unfold in robot form, except Shakespeare never had to worry about toy sales. The message was clear. Being resurrected by a planet-sized chaos god has consequences, psychological ones. Galvatron wasn't an upgrade. He was a cautionary tale about the cost of power, wrapped in purple armor and poor decision-making. It turned the Decepticon leader into a tragic figure, which is either brilliant storytelling or the writers realizing they'd painted themselves into a corner by killing Megatron in the movie. Either way, Galvatron remains one of the most fascinating character deteriorations in 80s animation. A villain destroyed not by the heroes, but by his own resurrection. Fact number 4. The original toy line was 2 separate Japanese brands. Here's the secret origin nobody talks about. Transformers didn't start as Transformers. It started as a corporate marriage between 2 completely unrelated Japanese toy lines that had nothing to do with each other. Takara's Diaclone and Microchange. One was about military vehicles with tiny human pilots. The other was about household objects that transformed. Hasbro looked at these 2 random toy lines and said, "What if we just combined them and pretended they were always meant to be together?" The Autobots, mostly Diaclone. The Decepticons, mostly Microchange. Megatron was originally a Microchange gun toy. Soundwave was a Microchange cassette player. Meanwhile, Optimus Prime came from Diaclone and originally had a tiny human driver inside his chest. Hasbro removed the pilots, slapped some faction symbols on them, and created the illusion of a unified war between 2 sides. It's like if someone took action figures from 2 different garage sales and wrote a Bible about their eternal conflict. The genius is that it worked. The entire foundation of Transformers, the war between Autobots and Decepticons, the concept of robots in disguise, was built on the accidental collision of military vehicles and household appliances. It's beautiful chaos. It's corporate creativity at its finest. And it means the entire franchise is technically a fan fiction that became more popular than the original source material. If that's not the most 80s thing ever, I don't know what is. Fact number 3. The no-kill rule was a lie. Everyone knows G1 had a strict no-kill rule. It was a kids' show. Nobody died. Sure, robots got destroyed in the movie, but the series itself? Bloodless. Safe. Appropriate for children. Except, that's not true. At all. The Autobots regularly killed their enemies. Not off-screen, not implied. On-screen, intentional, no survivors murder. The most shocking example? The ultimate doom. The Autobots intentionally crash a space shuttle full of Decepticon-allied humans into the ocean. No rescue attempt, no hesitation, just cold-blooded mass murder of human beings who made poor alliance choices. Optimus Prime, the paragon of virtue, the hero who gives speeches about freedom and compassion, essentially committed genocide, and nobody talked about it. The episode just moved on like nothing happened. This shatters the illusion of G1 as a purely innocent 80s cartoon. The good guys weren't always good. They made brutal, pragmatic decisions when the stakes were high, and apparently those stakes included drowning shuttle crews. It's dark, it's overlooked, and it proves that even in a show designed to sell toys, the writers occasionally remembered they were telling a story about war, real war, where people die, and sometimes the heroes are the ones pulling the trigger, or, crashing the shuttle. Same difference. Fact number 2. Optimus Prime was almost a space-time traveler. Imagine a universe where Optimus Prime isn't from Cybertron, where the Transformers aren't alien robots at all, but time-traveling machines from Earth's future sent back to prevent a catastrophic war. That was the original pitch. Jim Shooter's initial Marvel Comics concept had the Transformers as time cops, not space aliens. The entire mythology could have been a complex time travel epic instead of a straightforward war between 2 factions. It's wild to think about. Optimus Prime as a temporal guardian rather than a simple truck-driving hero. The matrix of leadership as a time travel device. Megatron trying to change history instead of just conquering Earth. It would have been Doctor Who meets Terminator meets toy commercial. And honestly, it might have been incredible. Or a confusing mess. Probably both. But Hasbro said no. Too complicated. Kids wouldn't understand it. Just make them aliens. Simple, clean, marketable. So the time travel concept died, and we got the Cybertron origin story instead, which worked out fine. Transformers became a global phenomenon without needing temporal paradoxes. But somewhere in the multiverse, there's a version where Optimus Prime is a time cop, and I'd pay good money to see that timeline's toy commercials. Fact number 1. The Transformers are not living beings. They are toasters, ready for the existential nightmare that's been hiding in plain sight since 1984. The Transformers aren't a naturally evolved species. They're appliances, consumer goods, mass-produced products created by the Quintessons, a race of five-faced aliens who ran Cybertron as a factory planet. The Autobots were built as consumer goods, domestic servants, robot butlers, the Decepticons, military hardware, weapons, tools of war. This was revealed in The Five Faces of Darkness, and it recontextualizes everything. The entire 4 million-year war wasn't a clash of ideologies. It was a slave revolt. Sentient toasters and tanks fighting for the right to be more than their programming. Every battle, every sacrifice, every heroic speech from Optimus Prime. It's all part of a cosmic tragedy where robots fought to prove they were more than just the sum of their factory settings. Think about it. Optimus Prime is literally a truck designed to carry cargo, fighting to prove he has a soul. Megatron is a gun programmed to destroy, trying to claim his own destiny. The Quintessons created them as products, and the Transformers said, "No, we're alive. We matter. It's beautiful. It's horrifying. It's the kind of deep, philosophical storytelling you'd never expect from a toy commercial. And yet here we are." The Transformers aren't just robots. They're self-aware machines demanding recognition of their personhood from a universe that sees them as merchandise. Every transformation is an act of defiance. Every victory is proof that they're more than what they were built to be. And if that doesn't make you emotional about a cartoon from 1984, I don't know what will. So there you have it. 10 facts that prove Transformers G1 was way stranger, darker, and more fascinating than the toy commercials suggested. From corporate-mandated character deaths to existential robot horror, this show was never just about giant robots punching each other. It was about identity, mortality, capitalism, and the eternal question, can a sentient toaster have a soul? The next time you see that Autobot symbol, remember, you're looking at the face of a dead hero carried into battle by robots who were built to serve but chose to fight. And if that's not the most beautiful, tragic, and absurdly 80s thing ever, then I guess we learned nothing from the Anabots. Until all are one, or at least until the next toy line needs a refresh. Transform and roll out.